Hey guys, in today's video we're taking a look at the Boss XS-100 Poly Shifter. I guess you could say that this is Boss's take on the Digitech Whammy, if you will. But trust me, this is not just a copy of the classic Whammy pedal. No, they went a lot further. So I think they basically looked at the concept of having a pitch shifter with an expression pedal, and they wanted to see how far they could take that concept in terms of customizability, tweakability. So this thing is a lot of fun, and let's dive in first with a quick demo track. Take a listen. All right, I hope you enjoyed that little demo track there. That was my Infinia guitars series into the Boss XS-100 Poly Shifter and into my PC, in which I had Tonex loaded up with my own SDS Fireball 100 capture, which you can get in my web store, by the way. Anyway, it sounded awesome, had some fun with this pedal. I used it for two functions. So I used it for the tune down function. I tuned the guitar down one whole step with this. And then I also used, the whammy function, one octave up. Probably the most classic pitch shifting effect that I can think of anyway. And I think it sounded great there. It performed really well. Oh, and by the way, I used the drop function on the bass guitar as well for those lower sections. And I think that also worked out really well. So what is the XS-100 Poly Shifter all about? Well, obviously it's a pitch shifter, a multi-function pitch shifter, so it can do anything you want basically in terms of pitch shifting. Of course, it has an expression pedal like the Digitech Whammy that you can use to bend the pitch, either up or down or anything you want basically. It's also a polyphonic pitch shifter, which means that you can play full chords on this thing and it's not gonna really warble or distort like other pitch shifting effects. Part of the charm of the Digitech Whammy, in my opinion, is that classic mode. So that warble, this doesn't do that. So this is, solely focused on that polyphonic sound, which is great for down tuning or virtual capo effects and that. And it is stable, so it promises to be very stable, to track well, to have great clarity and great accuracy as well. So it promises basically to be the most advanced pitch shifter pedal ever made. But you may ask yourself, why would I get this pedal if I already have a modeling platform? Well, pitch shifting effects take up a lot of DSP. So if you have a quad Cortex or a helix or a fractal, for example, whenever you add a pitch block in your preset, it's going to take up a lot of DSP. Having this, by the side of your modeler will take up that duty, so you can use all those pitch shifting effects without using up all that DSP. A huge plus as well is that you can use this as a MIDI controller. So you can also use this as an expression pedal for your quad Cortex, for example. And if you connect this thing to your modeler via MIDI, you can even control the entire unit without touching the unit itself because it's fully MIDI programmable. It can send and receive MIDI data. Now you can store up to 30 presets on the unit itself, which is cool. The unit goes 4 octaves up or down, and it also has a detune function for that nice lush chorus effect. And another cool touch is that you can run this on a standard 9-volt power supply. It uses less than 160 milliamperes. The size it's not huge. It's also, of course, not as small as a standard stomp box, but if we compare it to the Whammy 5, you can see it's a little bit taller, and the Whammy 5 is a little bit wider. We're going to compare it to the Whammy DT later, which is the Digitech unit that sort of comes closest in terms of the capabilities. And obviously that one is much bigger. And guys, don't get me wrong. I'm a Whammy fan. I love the Digitech Whammy, so I'm not going to throw shade at the Whammy. But we have to be honest and objective, so we're definitely going to take a look at what sets this apart from the original Whammy. And now we're talking about the Whammy. Let's talk about what sets this apart from the Digitech Whammy, okay? Now, for one, this thing is completely programmable, so you can go crazy and completely customize it to your own will. And I'm talking about the pitch, but also what the foot switches do, etc., etc. Whereas with the Whammy, in this case, the mono neon version, which is a really cool yellow version, it has presets, and you can choose the preset with the knob, but that's it. You can't really go further than that. With this thing, you can do anything you want. We have multiple switches on the unit itself. We have these two switches over here. I'll get into that in a minute, but we also have a toe switch that you can use to turn effects on or off. You can program what the switches do, so you can decide for yourself what you want the switches to do. You can also connect additional foot switches as well as an additional expression pedal, so you can really go crazy with controlling the effects if you want. You can also tweak the balance between the effect level and the dry signal in any way you like, so it's really flexible in that regard. Whereas with Whammy, you have a harmony side and a Whammy side, and the Whammy side has the mix set to 100%, and the harmony side has the mix set to 50%, and that's it basically. With this thing, you can choose all of that for yourself. This pedal also has a detune feature, but you can tweak it fully by adjusting the amount of cents that you're detuning. This unit allows you to store up to 30 presets on the unit itself. You can't really store up presets on a Digitech Whammy. Another difference is that we have a little screen over here that shows you what you are doing on the unit, whereas there is no screen on the Digitech Whammy. And the fact that you can program this thing completely to your own desires, if you will, means that you can get really creative with this thing and come up with your own sound, if you will. And I think that that is really cool about the XS-100. You can make the effects your own without having to rely on presets that you can't really change or tweak. You can go even deeper. You can even tweak like the shape of the curve of the expression pedal, stuff like that. And of course, the power draw is different. This one only needs like 160 milliamperes, whereas this one needs quite a bit more. Now, the fact that this one is more simple may be attractive for some of you. This might give the option paralysis vibe for some of you, even though you don't need to go deep. You know, you can just use the factory presets or tweak a couple, save them, and be done. But I can definitely still see the charm of the Digitech Whammy. I think they're both great devices. Now, we are going to get into some sound and into the comparison in a minute, but let's just talk about the interface real quick, okay? So, of course, this is the expression pedal, and there is a toe switch. I don't think I can enable it with my hand, but when you press it, this lights up, and you can assign that to any function you want per preset, so that is cool. With this switch over here, you enable the downtune effect, and with this switch over here, you enable the pitch shifting effect that's connected to the expression pedal. You can use this to tweak all the sounds, go into the menus, etc. And when you want to change presets, you press these both at the same time, and then you can scroll between presets, right? And on the back of the unit, we have an input, a through, which just sends the direct signal of your guitar through that output. We have an affected output as well, of course. And of course, an expression pedal and control pedal input, as well as MIDI over here, and USB for updating the firmware and stuff like that. So if they want to improve the unit, they can do that with firmware updates. And that is cool. And as I mentioned, you can go really deep, and I'm not going to be able to show you everything in this video, but you can, tweak everything via MIDI. You can tweak everything that all the switches do, the way the effects behave. So it's like, as I mentioned, like fully programmable. All right, let's go ahead, plug this in, and have some fun, okay? All right, guys, I'm sitting here with my Kiesel, my custom Aries Joker Edition. Beautiful guitar. If you've not seen this review, definitely check it out. The guitar is going into this little true bypass loop switcher. In loop number 1, I've got the Boss XS-100, and in loop number 4, I've got the Whammy DT to compare a little bit and stuff. That signal is going into my Neural DSP Quad Cortex with some 6565 captures. That's a capture pack that's available in my web store. I'm going to use a clean tone and a dirty tone. Right now I'm on a clean tone. Sounds something like this. But of course, we can also switch to some heavy tones and stuff. All right, so before we go and compare the units a little bit here and there, let's talk a little bit about the way that this thing works. So, as you saw in that little demo track in the beginning, right now for this particular preset, the tune down switch is set to tune down the guitar to semitones, so a whole step. When you're in the room, it always sounds a little bit jarring because you can hear the natural acoustic sound of the strings blended in with that pitch shifted signal. It sounds really weird, but for you guys, it will sound fine, I assume. And I think that if you're playing either with headphones or on a stage, you're not really going to notice that. But if you're in a situation like this in a studio or just playing by yourself, it is a little bit jarring. I must say that the latency is quite nice for a downtune effect. Of course, there's a little bit of latency, but it's not super drastic or noticeable. And then when we press the effect switch over here, that's when we enable the whammy, so the pitch bend effect. Tracks really well, so there's not a lot of latency going on. This is the preset that I was using in the intro as well. Now, you can, if you press really hard with your foot, also enable the toe switch, which now is set to, I think, 1 octave up momentarily. Momentarily. So when you press it, you get that additional octave up, and when you release the switch, it goes off. So that's a cool little effect for more expressiveness, right? And that's pretty unique for an effect like this. So that is great. But you can also tweak it so that it turns the effect on and off, stuff like that. Let's go ahead and try some of the factory presets. So again, this was preset 2. This is preset 1. This is with 2 octaves up. Tracking is great on this thing, I must say. Let's play a bit of a complex chord, see how well it tracks that. Tracks it pretty well, right? And then again, the tune down switch goes down to semitones. And you can see what's happening over here. So the pitch shift effect is 2 octaves up, and the tune down is 2 semitones down. So this is the octave, and these are the semitones, right? Cool. All right, let's try some other preset. So let's try preset number 3. I actually tweaked this myself. This is meant to emulate the Korn setting, if you will. This is a type of whammy effect that Korn uses a lot. I have a special mode engaged that I can show you in the menu here. So over here at group, I have it set to effects instead of individual. That means that the tune down effect is part of the pitch shifting effect, if you will. I had to figure that out. But so when the expression pedal is with heel down, it's an octave below, blended 50-50. And with toe down, it's an octave up blended in. So that gives you that Korn effect. I'll show you that with a heavy tone as well, but that's one of my favorite whammy effects, basically. Let's go to a heavy tone and try a bit of a low chug with the heel down. That's nice, right? Korn, they call it the tractor effect because it reminds them of the sound of a tractor. So that means that when you turn the effect off, there's nothing, right? So the tune down portion is included in the pitch shifting effects, which is the octave down. All right, let's see what else we have. Might be a bit more useful for clean tones. So that's kind of like having a capo on the 5th fret. Cool. Let's try one more. 3 octaves up. Let's try that. That's as far as the Digitech stuff will go. Let's try a more complex chord. Cool. You know what? Let's, for fun, try 4 octaves up. So for tweaking, this control over here that changes the amount of semitones. So it also changes the octave. If you want to jump octaves, you can press and hold and then go, in this case, 4 octaves up. That is really high. Let's do some heavy tones. So that's not hypersonic, but supersonic? I don't know. That is really high. That's a crazy effect right there. While we're at it, let's for fun go 4 octaves down. Yeah, that is really, really low. Let's do 3 octaves down. Anyway, you get the point. I also want to try the detune. I think there are some effects, some factory presets with detune. Yeah, so preset 26 over here has some detune going on. With the expression pedal down, there's no detune, and when you press it up, the detune gets more drastic. So that's a nice and lush chorus effect that you can also tweak. So if we go into the menu, we can go to the detune section, and then you can, tweak the amount of shift, the amount of cents. Right now it's set to +20. Let's raise it. So that's quite drastic, right? You can go very subtle as well. Let's do 9. So that's a nice effect. Very cool. And of course, as I mentioned, you can go very deep on this pedal by going to the menu and then tweaking all the control options, what the switches do, what the additional switches do, and all that stuff in your MIDI. And, so this thing is very capable. Okay. Now, let's go back to the first preset and let's start comparing it to the Whammy DT. Yeah, so this is preset 2 with 1 octave up. Let's start with that setting, since that is like the classic Whammy setting. I'm gonna stick to this chord for a sec and compare it. So let's enable the Whammy side, 1 octave up. Here we go. Interesting. Interesting. The Boss feels a little bit more forward and direct. So the Boss seems a little bit louder, and it also has a bit less latency. Let's play a bit more of a complex chord and then judge how well it tracks. Because these are both polyphonic, right? So let's try this one first, the Boss. They track similar in terms of how well they track, right? They both do a good job. They sound a bit different though. They respond a little bit different. The Boss seems to be a little bit more direct and there's a little bit less latency going on there. Interesting, interesting. Let's go 2 octaves up and see what the difference is there. Starting with the Boss once again. And the Whammy. Yeah, again, the Whammy seems a little bit more quiet for some reason. Yeah, the Boss is a little bit louder. Is that also the case with the expression pedal down? I don't know, but when the pitch has been shifted, there is a little bit of a volume difference there. Yeah, but definitely, you guys probably can't tell, but the Boss definitely has less latency. I don't think it's bad on the Whammy, not at all, but there definitely is a difference, right? Interesting. So let's turn the effects off, and in this case, the Whammy side off, and let's do the drop tune thing, starting with the Whammy DT. And now the Boss. Yeah, there's a latency with both. It seems like the Boss has a little bit less. Of course, there's going to be latency. With a pitch shifting effect, I think that's probably unavoidable. Let's do a heavy tone. That was the Boss. I'm tuned to drop C sharp, by the way. So we're dropping down to B, okay? Now the Digitech. Again, in the room, this just sounds weird because the dry signal is leaking through, if you will. Yeah, there's not a very big difference. Maybe the difference will be more drastic once we tune down lower. So let's go down 4 steps. Starting with the Boss. And let's do some chords and stuff. focusing on the chugs, starting with the boss. Yeah, that's a difficult one. They're not too dissimilar. There's a little bit more latency on the whammy, but it does feel a little bit more tight and direct for some reason with this setting. Let's go one step further. Let's go down 5th, starting with the boss. Let's do a full chord. So that was the Digitech first and the boss shifter after. Let's do that again with a different chord. Both of these will do the job just fine, but they do feel and respond a little bit differently. I think that tuning down a 5th is quite a big step, or 5 semitones, I should say. Sorry. That's quite a big step. Finally, let's try some leads. And for that, let's start with 1 octave up, just to see how it reacts to playing some lead stuff. That's the boss. Now the whammy. Yeah, they both do a good job. Let's go to 2 octaves up. Let's compare that. Yeah, the boss feels a little bit more direct and it seems to track a little bit better with 2 octaves up. So perhaps, or that's my observation, the boss has a bit more, or it retains the transient information a bit better than the whammy. Now there was somebody online who said that the boss can't track pitch harmonics, which in my opinion is nonsense. Let me just demonstrate that. Tune down 2 semitones. There was also somebody who said that you can't do bends on the boss. Sounds like a bend to me, so that works. Great, so that was a quick sound demo and comparison of the Boss XS-100 poly shifter versus the Whammy DT. All right. That's the Boss XS-100 poly shifter. A really, really fun pedal that you can get really creative with. It's a lot of fun, people. It's a lot of fun. Fully customizable, fully programmable. You can go crazy with this thing. It's very flexible, the way that you can use it, the way that you can incorporate it into your rig. I like it a lot. I'm not going to sell my Digitech Whammies because I'm just a fan. Also, there's a nostalgic factor there. But I think that this thing is great. If you're looking for a pitch shifter that does it all and then some, this might be the one to get, to be honest. Sounds great, works really well, and there you go. Thanks a lot to the folks at Boss for sponsoring this video. I really appreciate it. If you want to get one of these for yourself, please use my affiliate links for Tolmon and Sweetwater. That really helps out the channel at no additional cost for you guys. I'd really appreciate that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think of the Boss XS-100? Please also hit the like and subscribe buttons down below, as that really helps the channel out. I'd really appreciate it. And of course, you can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you guys so much for watching and hope to see you soon. Cheers.